Cars 2 is one of the most highly divisive parts of this whole franchise. You have those who love it and those who absolutely hate it. I have thoughts on Cars 2 that I would definitely like to talk about another time. But I think without starting a war today, we can actually talk about one of the positive qualities that I think most people can agree is actually a good part of Cars 2. That being the World Grand Prix. I think even a lot of Cars 2's fans themselves can admit that they wish the World Grand Prix had been more so the main focus of this movie. I've got nothing against this movie's spy plot or anything, but I do agree that the World Grand Prix should have been the main focus, especially with Lightning McQueen, the first movie's main character, being a racer in it. But we're not talking about Cars 2 and how it should have handled its plots. Instead, we're talking about the guys who absolutely add to the World Grand Prix, known as the World Grand Prix Racers. Unlike the Piston Cup Racers, the World Grand Prix Racers all have their own unique models, and they all represent a different sport. So anyways, everybody, today I'm going to be taking an analytical look at each of these World Grand Prix Racers and ranking them all from worst to best, in my opinion. They'll all be ranked by certain terms like design, personality, the execution, and, well, you name it. The only racer who I will not be including on this list is Lightning McQueen. Not because he's gonna easily solo these guys if I put him on the list or anything, but rather because he's the only racer on this list who I'm gonna be ranking by design, and design only. Meanwhile, everyone else is actually going to be ranked by everything else. Don't get me wrong, McQueen's still one of my favorite characters. I'm just one of those kids who finds side characters slightly more interesting than the main character. And this goes for all of my favorite franchises, not just Cars. I will, however, be talking about the international racers from the international dubs of Cars 2. Because why not? Now, without further ado, let's talk about these racers.
Buenos dias, my friends!
Finishing in dead last is a racer who I unfortunately don't have the strongest feelings about. Now, that doesn't mean he's a bad racer or anything. In fact, I actually like him. That said though, his design isn't very impressive. And the racer that I'm talking about is none other than Memo Rajas Jr., based off of and voiced by Memo Rajas Jr. himself. One of my biggest problems with him already is just his mold. For some reason, they just took one look at Max Schnell's design and said, hey, let's make every other international racer we have look exactly like this guy in terms of model. With the exception of Fernando Alonso, just because he's Spanish like El Camino. I'm a person who likes variety, so you're going to experience something I would like to call the Max Schnell fatigue in this video. And for me, it's basically just me getting mad at these racers for looking like Max Schnell when they could have chosen literally any other racer. I mean, I don't have a problem with at least one or two of them having the same model as Max Schnell, but almost all of them? Come on! One of the main reasons I love these racers so much is because they all have their own unique models. But now, whenever I look at Max Schnell, the first thing that comes to my mind is how frustrated I was that at least 5 other racers shared this mold with him. It almost makes me wonder if anyone on the movie crew thought that these racers would look just as cool if they shared molds with Nigel Gearsley or Raul Sarul as well. Just as a nice little way of letting some World Grand Prix racers have something in common with Max Schnell. Or, expanding the variety and letting other racers share the competition light. Like, with Max Schnell's sport having at least 2 or 3 racers representing them, and then Nigel's having 2 or 3 racers representing it. Yeah, You guys get the idea. But no, we gotta have 4 different racers from Max Schnell's sport. You're probably wondering why I even like this guy if I've just talked smack about him and his model so far. Well, I like his color scheme. I mean, it is obviously the Mexican flag, but I did like what they were going for here. The design is also pretty good. However, there is one major problem I have with him, and that is his side. Do you even want to know what I'm talking about? Take a good long look. Yes, my friends, that is indeed an eagle on the side of him. Yeah, it looks cool for a car design, but it's so obvious why it shouldn't be there, so I feel like I don't even need to explain it. I'm just gonna add that to the list of world building problems that Cars 2 added in for this universe. Despite my complaints about him though, I actually do not think that Memo Rogers Jr. is half bad. In fact, I actually really like him. Now, let's continue our way up the B tier, shall we?
Flash, 100-yard dash.
Flash Nielsen falls short for the same reasons that Memo Rogers Jr. does. One of the least interesting designs, Max Schnell fatigue, blah blah blah. However, his design doesn't raise any eyebrows, so he earned a spot above Memo Rogers Jr. just for that. I honestly don't have much to say about him though, so this is going to be one of the shorter sections in the video. They definitely did not go wrong with his design or anything. I think the color scheme, as well as the design they put on him, is very good looking. It's not as eye-catching as other World Grand Prix racers, but it's still a very nice design. I also like that they decided to base him off of race car driver Jan Flash Nielsen. I don't know much about him, but I think it was a good choice for a Swedish racer, I guess. I also got his diecast this year, thanks to Mattel contradicting their own rules, I guess. Yeah, that's just about all I gotta say, so let's just move on.
I will bring glory to my country.
Longhi is definitely one of the most interesting World Grand Prix racers, if you ask me. Of all the racers they could have chosen for Cars Fast as Lightning, they chose him to be the one international racer to be in this game. And for years, I thought he was just another Max Schnell clone created for the game, like Pirator Racing of, and I did not know that he was actually part of the Chinese dub of Cars 2. That was until years later when I found out that the international dubs of Cars 2 were a thing. Which made me forget that he was also a part of the World Grand Prix. I do really like his color scheme, and his design, as simple as it is actually pretty cool. However, because he's missing a number and a sport logo, he kind of just ends up looking like one of those illegal tuner European cars. Like the BMW from Need for Speed Most Wanted, but as a Cars character. As a matter of fact, this is kind of a complaint I've had about a lot of the Max Schnell models, including Memo Rogers Jr. and Flash Nielsen, that I forgot to bring up with those guys. They're all missing their own number logos, with the exception of Pirator Racing Of, and he's from Cars Fast as Lightning, which really just proves that they had no excuse. However, that's besides the point. Let's just get back to some of the details on Longhi's design. Sorry about that. I like how the stars are formatted, along with all of the details on the side and everything. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be racist, I just don't know what to even call those things. Overall, he's pretty cool. Nothing too special, but cool. So anyways... Parking into number 14, we've got Rip Clutch Gonski. This guy is what I would like to call the unluckiest World Grand Prix racer for many, many reasons. To start off his story, Rip Clutch Gonski was originally supposed to die in the movie. No, I'm not kidding you. This fucker was actually originally supposed to die. Luckily, the movie crew was generous enough to let this guy live. Awesome! except that some of the effects were already in play. For starters, he's the only World Grand Prix racer to hail from a fictional country called the Republic of New Rerendia. Secondly, he's the only World Grand Prix racer to not have a canon voice. He, along with Lewis, were not part of Cars 2 the video game. And yeah, it just pretty much looks like Pixar did not like this character or something. Considering when he blew up, it might have been too soon. I think the Porto Corsa crash could have definitely been a very appropriate time to have him blown up. But considering the way it was executed, I think that would have just been going overboard with killing cars. Not that the movie doesn't already do that, though. Like I said, one day I'll talk about my thoughts on Cars 2. But the point is, I think Pixar made a good choice by letting him live. And it's a pretty good thing too, because I actually really like this guy. I like his color combo. I think for a country like New Rerendia, which, if I'm correct, is supposed to be an African country, these colors really fit that vibe very much. The design, on the other hand, is kind of... Now, it's not bad or anything. In fact, I think it's decent. I just think it could have had a bit better of an execution. While I kind of liked what they were going for here, I don't really like how one side's red and the other's green. It just, I don't know, it's kind of a pet peeve to me. I also think it's worth mentioning about just how happy this guy seems. If there's one World Grand Prix racer who I'd say is just here to have a good time, it would be none other than Rip Clutch Gonski. Man, it sure would be a shame if there was a character from this movie who I loved more than Rip Clutch Gonski that just so happened to get killed off. Wait a minute. Well, that wraps up the B tier. Now we can move on to the A tier. Racers that I think are almost amazing, but kind of fall flat due to one or two major issues I have with them.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Okay, Rip, never mind. I guess you're not the unluckiest World Grand Prix racer after all. Instead, landing in number 13 is none other than Fernando Alonso. Based on none other than Fernando Alonso in real life. Nothing much to say about him. I mean, I like his color scheme. I think the blue surrounded by those red and yellow spots are really good looking. I do think the lightning bolts on his hood are a little odd, but they're not too bad enough that they ruin the design. I just feel like they're sort of out of place. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Hey, dude, no offense, but you kind of caught me at a bad time. Can we talk later? What do you mean I have no more footage of Fernando Alonso's car's counterpart? Oh, I see. Yeah, sorry I don't have enough footage to show or enough images. His diecast got canceled too, but anyways, something I find interesting is that they chose Fernando Alonso for the Spanish dub of Cars 2, but not Miguel Camino. And they're both coincidentally the same model, and they come from Spain. Overall, I think Fernando Alonso is pretty damn cool. So anyways, let's move on to the next racer. Hey, Cardude39 here. I'd just like to point out that the joke I made about Fernando Alonso being unlucky number 13 was not a joke that had any ill intent towards the real life Fernando Alonso. That was just a joke that I've been doing with other racers in this series, so don't take it personally.
Schnell!
Right there, officer. There's the culprit. Max Schnell, the cause of the Max Schnell fatigue. Okay, all jokes aside though, He is pretty cool, and his model, on its own, is also pretty cool. I like how carbon his livery looks, and I think it's really clever how the Germany flag was put on his sides. I don't typically like it when the vinyls don't look the same on both sides, but here, I think it was really well executed, and I love it. One more interesting thing I want to talk about with Max Schnell is about how in the German dub of Cars 2, he was actually one of the first characters McQueen talked to at the World Grand Prix party. But the funny thing is, he's actually voiced by famous F1 driver Sebastian Vettel, which is completely different from Max Schnell's English counterpart.
Hey, Lightning, hast du schon mal so eine irre Party erlebt?
I like to see the expressions of the other racers as I pass them.
My question though is that, does this mean that Max Schnell is canonically the Sebastian Vettel of his own sport? I mean, this competition was designed to pick the best of the best, so he probably is. Overall, I like Max Schnell, and I don't want you guys thinking I don't. It's just that the overusage of his model kind of keeps him from being S tier. That and his design is not really one of my favorites compared to everyone else, so yeah. But pretty good racer overall.
Happy birthday!
Just making it oh so close to the top 10 is Frosty Winterbottom, the Australian racer based off of Mark Winterbottom. While I have been very critical towards all the racers who have used this model, I actually think Frosty looks really good in it. I really like how his design just starts out yellow and then eventually just adds the colors of his flag to it. They really work so well with each other. The stars on his blue parts and everything are all very unique, and I just think they did a really good job with this design. Yeah, once again, Frosty is another racer who I don't have much to say about, so let's just carry on with this list, shall we?
Shut up! You rats with wings!
Just barely making his way into the top 10 is Nigel Gearsley. I do feel like it was kind of a missed opportunity to try what Frosty did and basically have part of the England flag in the back while still having the green up front. Hell, the Cars 2 DS game had better representation for England on his paint job than the movie version of him did. And that's a shame because Nigel Gearsley was very close to being one of the best World Grand Prix racers. The color combo wouldn't have been my personal choice, but I do think it looks really good on him in execution. And oh my gosh, his model. You know what, I'm just gonna say it, it's probably my second favorite out of all the World Grand Prix Racers models. I just feel like they kind of missed the opportunity to actually go somewhere with the England part of him and put it over his design. That said though, the dude's still a pretty badass World Grand Prix racer. Also, we were so close to laying on his number. Damn it!
As I can. Lewis, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. On your marks. Get set.
So, I've never been the hugest F1 guy. And I know that sounds absolutely insane coming from a guy named CarDude39. Even I don't get why I don't like F1 that much. I mean, I tried getting into it back in 2021, but for some reason, it just never really clicked with me. And maybe part of that was just because I was just too busy following NASCAR at the time. I don't know. In retrospective, I feel like I was a little too harsh on F1 and maybe I should give it another chance, but that's not the point. Instead, I would like to talk about the reason why I even tried to get into F1 in the first place, which was none other than Lewis Hamilton. When I heard that Lewis Hamilton was actually a real-life driver and not some fictional character, I felt like becoming a fan of both NASCAR and F1. You can kind of tell where this went, though. Despite this, I will always appreciate Lewis for making me give F1 a try. As a matter of fact, he's one of the many things I still like about Formula 1, even if I'm not into the sport. Anywho, enough about my life story, let's talk about the racer. Despite how plain it is, I really do like the color scheme they went for. It's very simple, but also very badass for a McLaren like Lewis. And if you ask me, I don't think they could have picked a better color to go along the lines of him than yellow. However, I have one gripe with him, and it's that I wish his name were actually carified, like Jeff Corvette. Originally, his name was supposed to be Lewis Revington, and if you ask me, I think that was a really missed opportunity that I don't know why they got rid of it, but they did. Overall though, I think Lewis is rocking. And as for the real life Lewis Hamilton, thank you so much for giving me a reason to give F1 a try, even if I didn't end up enjoying it in the long run.
We're being sold to the Kanishi Toy Museum in Tokyo.
Shu to the Rookie is a World Grand Prix racer that I'd say is pretty great. I absolutely love his colors. Red and white is a color scheme that I absolutely adore on cars, and Shu is no exception here. I also find it really clever what they did with the number 7 on his hood. And the flames are awesome. Or at least that was until I found out that they weren't flames after all. According to his Cars 2 the video game bio, what's supposed to be on his side is a dragon. And maybe it's just me, but this looks nothing like a dragon. But maybe it's better that way since, well, yeah. But congratulations, Shu. You managed to get into my top 10. Good job.
You got games on your phone?
Okay, quick question. Am I allowed to feature racers that didn't even appear in Cars 2, but are technically World Grand Prix racers in a way? Because Pyrotor Racing Nub's model makes me want to count him as a World Grand Prix racer. For those who don't know, Pyrotor Racing Nub, at least that's how I think you pronounce his name. If I'm wrong, somebody please let me know in the comments. Anyways, this guy is a character who is actually exclusive to Cars Fastest Lightning. So when I first see him, this nostalgic mobile game is the first thing that comes to mind. Damn it, I missed this game. Why couldn't it at least lasted until Cars 3 came out? It had so much potential. Anyways, I really adore this guy's color scheme. Blue, red, and white is a color scheme you cannot go wrong with. Unless you're Cars 3 Ralph Carlo, who just adds yellow and light blue to the color combo. And overall, you just make it worse. I also love his design and the way it uses those colors, especially on the hood. The star is very good looking. They even included something that no other Max Schnell clone has. A number. I gotta say, this guy would be in my S tier if it wasn't for the fact that he has no reason to be a Russian racer, since Vitaly Petrov was already Cars 2's Russian racer. To be fair though, Cars 2 did already have 2 British and 2 American racers, so why can't there be 2 Russian racers? Well, I kind of feel like it was a missed opportunity to represent some other type of snow country like Russia at the time. Because instead, we just got another attempt at making another Russian racer. That said though, I like Pyrotor a lot. And I'll always thank him for being a big part of my childhood when it came to mobile games.
It's a bird!
We are finally wrapping up the A tier with Vitaly Petrov. Based off of Vitaly Petrov, the race car driver in real life. After doing some research, I discovered that Vitaly was a pretty good driver, but was someone who got overshadowed by his teammates and a lot of other drivers. So I gotta be honest, I don't know why they chose to have him be the dub behind one of the international stars in Cars 2, but I do still like this guy. I absolutely love how they just took the red, blue, and white design and made red the primary color while still making it look awesome. The way the red just starts out in the front and then there's blue in the middle and white in the back is just snazzy. I also like how this design takes inspiration from one of Russia's historical flags in the past. Even though that bird on the side is kinda questionable, not gonna lie. Why do they keep forgetting that even the animals are sentient vehicles? But the point is, Vitaly's pretty damn cool, and it's a pretty close call between him and Racing Nub for my favorite Russian racer in the World Grand Prix. Anyways, fellas, I think you know what time it is. It's time for the S tier, racers that I think are fantastic.
Paris? All this time, I've been underneath Paris?
Starting off the S tier, we've got Raul Sarul. Up until just recently, this guy was actually my favorite World Grand Prix racer. And even though he may not live up to the other 4 World Grand Prix racers, I'd say he's still pretty awesome. I absolutely love this guy's rally car model, and also just how this entire turntable advertisement for Cars 2 here basically just shows off a lot of his personality. Like, just look at this guy.
Oh, what the hell? He's having fun, isn't he?
I know this is the 1,000,000th time in this video that I have complimented this color scheme, but I love blue, white, and red. And out of all the World Grand Prix racers, I think Raul Sarul does it the best with this color scheme. With Raul, his paint is noticeably sprayed onto him, and it's awesome. And can we just talk about the GRC logo on his side? They could have easily made it black, but no. Instead, they just left the blue spots in there. I also love how they managed to put cyan blue into this paint job without making it look ugly, unlike another racer. And I also think that the red and white are in a perfect position to the point where they don't screw up the body. It's just beautiful, man.
Strong words from a car that is so fragile.
Fragile! It goes a Francesco! Fragile!
Next up, we've got the main rival for McQueen in this movie, Francesco Bernoulli. I guess you could say that, along with Lewis Hamilton, Francesco Bernoulli was another reason why I tried to get into F1. For starters, I think the best thing about him is his personality. He's not a douchebag who just wrecks other racers like Chick Hicks, or somebody who tries to talk down on veterans like Jackson Storm. He's just really good at racing, and as a result, he's cocky because of it. And he's not really a bad guy either. While he's pissed off at first that he lost to a stock car, which I'm not going to lie, as a NASCAR fan, is kinda weird. Once he sees what's going on and what happened behind him and McQueen, he's genuinely concerned for the other racers. Plus, near the end of the movie, he actually shows genuine respect for McQueen as a friendly rival of his. But what if I were to tell you that wasn't the only good thing about Francesco? His design, in case you couldn't guess already, is also amazing. The color design is stunning as it can be, and I'd say it's all pretty equally layered. The red is the primary color. The green and white don't take up too much of the body, they're just on the sides where they should be. And it's awesome. I have more to say about this guy in my Cars 2 video, but that's a story for another time.
My name is Jeff.
Ah yes, Jeff Corvette. Voiced by and based off of Jeff Gordon. I love how in a movie that's more about spies than racing, we managed to at least get some race car driver cameos. And while I do feel like it was kind of a missed opportunity to do a paint job based off of one of Jeff Gordon's paint jobs, I still think this is a really damn cool paint job. The yellow is very slick on him, and the American flag on the side is definitely very appealing to look at. And while the pun is silly, I think it's a great caricature of Jeff Gordon. And I normally don't mention this, but I'm going to this time because these look really good. The rims are absolutely fantastic. And when he returned in Cars 3, I was actually kind of surprised to see a Cars 2 related thing in Cars 3 when I first saw it. But it was a good surprise. Overall, Chef Corvette is awesome.
That's right. I was a famous bulldozer fighter in Spain.
However, there is one yellow World Grand Prix racer better than Jeff, and that is Miguel Camino. Ever since I was really little, I've always loved this guy. Typically, I don't like red, white, and orange combined on cars, but with a little bit of black like Miguel here, it looks absolutely amazing. And the design executes this very well. I love the logos on Miguel's hood. The colors on the design absolutely complement it very well. And once again, yellow was a great choice for his main color. And of course, how can we forget about the black spoiler, which absolutely goes super well with his until the diecast decided that it should be red for some reason. Yeah, it took me years to notice that, but all I have to say is the design that they went with in the movie is a lot better. And it being red just makes it rather dull. Minor gripe aside, he is still one of my favorite World Grand Prix racers. And I would also like to thank him for the inspiration behind one of my most well-known OCs on this channel, Kirby Tankson. But unfortunately, he is not number one. And that is because there is one other racer that just so happens to outshine him. And that racer is... Carla Veloso. Well, congratulations, Motorsports Fan 48. Out of everyone in the chat on that day, you were the only one who guessed correctly. The rest of you still had pretty good guesses, but... You lost! So anyways, let's talk about Carla's design. First of all, I love the colors. The lime green fading into the blue in the back is absolutely gorgeous to look at. And I think the patterns all over her paint help complement it a lot. I think the Pixar team also did a pretty good job finding a car model that perfectly suits Carla's feminine design. I really cannot picture Carla Veloso being feminine looking in any other World Grand Prix model.
Hey, yo!
And once again, just because they look really good this time, those rims are awesome. And I also don't think it should go without saying how she is probably the best World Grand Prix racer aside from McQueen and Francesco. She had reflexes fast enough to dodge rip, and she absolutely kicked ass in the Japan race. She was even doing well in the Italy race until the lemons blew her up. And in the Radiator Springs Grand Prix, she's shown to at least be 3rd or 4th. This chick is an absolute badass, and I consider her one of my favorite racers in this whole franchise. Oh yeah, that's right. We have one special section saved for one very special racer. Alright, so if I were to include McQueen's design on this list, I'd have it placed at about 3rd or 4th. It's honestly one of my favorite McQueen designs because I absolutely love the winged spoiler and the flame designs on the side. Plus, I'm going to be honest, I think the black rims look good on McQueen more than any other rim color has ever looked on him. And anyways, everybody, that was my ranking list on the World Grand Prix racers. Now, feel free to tell me what you think. Who's your favorite World Grand Prix racer? Do you disagree with anything I said, or do you agree with me? If you disagree, that is perfectly fine. I get it. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, this is CardU39. See y'all next time.